What are the two most powerful words in the English language? I am. I am are the two most powerful words that you can ever utter. The reason for this is it's about programming your identity. We defend our identity to the death, literally. So the concept of having an identity and sticking to an identity, it's a survival instinct. Because, we're used to being in tribes of 150 people. If you are not fitting in that tribe, because obviously resources and things like that back in our evolutionary times were scarce, if you weren't adding value to the tribe or the tribe didn't trust you, you would be kicked out of the tribe and you would be lion food and you'd die. And our brains are still wired that way. It's the same reason. If you think of it a way that you would describe yourself, say, I am something. So I'm a generous person, I'm kind. And imagine if somebody said, you are not a kind or generous person. If they disagreed with who you say you are, you're instant fight or flight. It's a very, very angry boundary defense that you'll feel if people accuse you of being something that you're not. It's the same reason like being accused of lying when you're not. That is an identity instinct because people are saying you're incongruent. It's a deep part of who you are. Now, why does that have anything to do with performance psychology? Because you can hack the concept of identity to guide you toward your goals. This is where it gets really important. So if you tell yourself a narrative that I'm not an organized person, I'm just disorganized, you will never become an organized person because your brain, your subconscious will always hold you to your identity. And the story that you tell yourself over and over, that is what it'll keep you there. If you're somebody who doesn't like successful people, if you hate the rich, you want to tax the rich, you're not going to be a successful person because you're not going to let yourself be incongruent with your identity. So really important to understand the power of identity and how it can help you make the right choices subconsciously towards your goals, or it can make you self-destruct on the way to your goals because it's not congruent with who you say you are. So this is really, really important concept to understand. Now, how do we hack identity? Well, this is really important. If you understand that if you can create an identity for yourself, you will do the right things. If you're an undisciplined person, start by telling yourself you're disciplined. You can literally do verbal or written affirmations or visualization where you see yourself as that person. If you do that, 10, 20, 30 times a day, that's automatically going to help you move towards that identity. It really does. It primes your brain because there is a part of your brain called the posterior cingulate cortex, and that whole thing is designed to decide wwho you are, and it filters things through that identity. If you see something, you see it as the identity that you are. It's like why someone can see an issue with politics and immediately think that's a good thing or that's a bad thing based on their views and their identity. That's your posterior cingulate cortex at work, and you can mold it. You can make it what you want. So you can do that through affirmations, but the most important way to do it is through action, because every time you miss or every time you tell yourself something bad about yourself, that's that identity you don't want, that is reinforcing the habit and reinforcing the wrong identity. And so you got to look at it like what I call Roman scales. The old scales that have like a tray on each side and would weigh that way. Every time you want to become somebody that you want to be, every action that you take that is in line with that, it's like putting a little pebble on the side of I'm a disciplined person, I'm a kind person, I'm a good learner, I'm a fast reader, whatever the identity you want to create is, you're putting one pebble on. But every time you don't do that thing, so let's say you want to be a more disciplined person and you hit the snooze button, that's the equivalent of putting two pebbles on the bad side. So the misses hurt twice as much as the wins. And that's a really important part of programming identity, is understanding that you're placing pebbles. You're voting for the person you want to be with your actions. But the more you do that, the more you vote for that person, that's self-sustaining. Meaning the more you become that identity, the easier it is to fulfill those habits and work towards that goal. You will never outperform the vision of yourself that you have. You'll never outperform your identity. So you have to start with programming that identity. You can do affirmations, you can do it with education, you can do it by hanging around the right people. That's a really important one. But the most important way to do it is with consistent action. The misses hurt bad. Don't miss. And if you do miss, don't miss twice. That is the best advice I can give you on programming your identity, because if you can program that identity for success, success is inevitable. Happy hunting, guys.